Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're doing my book journal for The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This book was a wild ride, I guess, from the cover, because I know I did not read the synopsis. I assumed this was a vampire story. I assumed that it was like the Volturi kind of thing. It is not. It is following a young housemaid as her mistress finds out that she has powers, and her mistress decides that this is her way to come up in the world, is to use her powers to impress important guests at their home. And by a unforeseen set of circumstances for the mistress and our protagonist, she ends up in front of the Catholic Church trying to prove that her powers are of God and not of Satan. And she gets wrapped up in a very popular, very influential man's world as he tries to control her and be the one that makes the king's favorite, that has the girl touched by God. And her aunt plays a role in all of this, but he also has a familiar. He has a person who is tied to him through his family line. So it's kind of a spoiler to tell you exactly how that ended up happening. Let's just say that it is a story of a woman's empowerment, her taking back her own power and realizing that the only person who can tell her what to do is herself. And I loved this. I listened to it and I can't wait to have a physical copy to annotate. It had so many beautiful quotes in it that I honestly was just stunned. I knew I wanted to read it after I had read 9,000 Hellbent, and all of the research in detail that went into those two, I feel like went into The Familiar as well. If you like romantic, or you like, I should say romantasy, if you like fantasy, if you like a paranormal story, you would like this one. It is not very steamy. I'd probably give it 1 chili pepper out of 5. But as far as stars, I give it 5. It was so good. I highly, highly recommend. About my setup. So, of course, I have the book cover there. And then down below is a collage I actually found on Pinterest when I Googled the book. Or when I searched the book, this collage came up and I thought it fit perfectly. So I went ahead and printed that out. And then if you've read the book, the fruit plays a big part in it. And so I had to have a pomegranate there. What I'm entering here is the genre of the book, the method I finished it as, the date I finished it, the year it was published, and then my rating, and then my synopsis, and then I do my review. Like I said, I love this so much. I think that it was very well done. I wish I had physically read it instead of listened to it, because I listen to my books pretty quickly, and this one, in my opinion, went by too quick, but that was my own fault. I think that it was very detailed and that the characters all stood apart from one another. The voices don't change in the audiobook, but it was easy to tell who was talking and who was discussing at the moment. I think that it has a lot to do with, I don't want to say class, but really it's class, and how people who are in power are always going to try to take advantage of the people they feel like they have power over. And that's really what was happening here. Our main character is just trying to live, and she's been using her magic to better her life and make her job just a little more easy. And she doesn't want to break her back in someone else's home. She just wants her own piece of something and to do what makes her happy. And she ends up working for somebody else, breaking her back, washing their clothes, making them food, and waiting on them hand and foot. She doesn't even have a bed when the story starts. Like, she sleeps on the cellar floor. They have no care for her. And it's not until the mistress walks in one day and there's a burnt loaf of bread in the middle of table. There's a knock on the door, so she goes to get get the door and comes back in the kitchen and starts throwing a fit about the burnt bread and how do they think that they're made out of money. They're not. They don't have all this money, and the bread's not burnt. And so the cook and the scullery maid is what I'm going to call her. They have a certain name for it, but are both confused, like, Miss, what are you talking about? The bread's not burnt. And that's when she goes, something's going on here. That bread was burnt when I was in here earlier, and now it's not. What is going on? And so she starts testing the scullery maid, and she starts, like, giving her impossible tasks, or will mess something up, knowing that she shouldn't be able to fix it, and then wondering how she gets it fixed. And finally, she catches her one day doing magic, and talks her into coming to her dinner party to perform said magic. And that's what gets the church involved. And the church has been killing witches. They have been murdering witches. And so she is scared to death of dying. The king has a competition for anyone who is God touched. So anyone who is got their powers from God. And so our main character has to go on this path to prove that she is God touched, and she meets other people who also have powers like she does. And not everything glitters is gold, and everything grins at you is your friend. And that's basically what the story is. The way it ended leaves open a possibility for a part 2, and I would not mind reading what happens to the two after everything. Like, the fact that the way it ends and what she does is so interesting to me. Her power is interesting to me because now I'm curious, where did she get it from? Did it come from her family? Did it come from her mother? Did her mother have powers and we just didn't know it? Did her father's lineage have powers? Does her aunt have powers and she's just not saying anything? Does the fortune turning for another character, does that mean that their lineage isn't going to live anymore? Like, I have questions, and I'm sure that I'm thinking too much into this, and I do this a lot with books that I really enjoy. I start questioning everything and want to know everything about it. But yeah, I love this, and I just want to get this review out. I'm going to stop rattling because I'm pretty sure I repeated myself a couple times, but like I said, I loved it, and I can't wait to read another Leigh Bardugo book. What about you? Have you read this one? Did you enjoy it? Have you read Hellbent or Ninth House? Did you enjoy them? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.